My name is Genie Palmer. I live in Morgan Hill, California. I was diagnosed in 2018 following a bout of RSV that put me in the hospital. And I was very, very sick and I didn't recover well. And my doctor finally did a CT scan and told me I had bronchiectasis, and I had no idea what she was telling me. As I said, I was diagnosed in 2018 following RSV, and it was many months. It was almost the better part of 2018 before I was diagnosed, because my doctor just thought I was still recovering from the RSV and possible pneumonia. And they kept giving me different medications, try this, try that. And my symptoms were, I had this horrible cough, and I had all this mucus in sputum that would come up and it would choke me. And I was very short of breath. I couldn't really walk much. I would walk maybe about half a block and I would just be exhausted and I'd be coughing. And I kept going back to my doctor and, oh, well, try this. Well, let's try that. Well, let's do this. And then finally, I would say after 6, 7, 8 months, it seemed like it was forever. But it was it was almost 2019, but it was towards the end of 2018. She said, we need to do a CT scan, see what's going on with your lungs. And the CT scan revealed bronchiectasis. And she came back and told me, she said, well, I'm going to send you to a pulmonologist because you have bronchiectasis. And I said, well, what is that? And she said, well, your lungs aren't working the way they should. The pulmonologist will explain it. So I finally got an appointment with a pulmonologist, and he said, well, you have a chronic disease of your lungs, and it's damaged your lungs. He showed me the picture of the CT scan, and I was kind of shocked. I couldn't believe it. He showed me where there was damage, and I said, well, what do we do to fix that? And he said, we can't. And he said, really, there isn't much treatment for bronchiectasis. So I felt really lost, because he didn't give me a broad explanation, and he kept saying, well, we don't know a lot about it. We don't know a lot about it. And there's not really much treatment, but we're going to do some nebulizers, maybe an inhaler, and you're going to need to do some breathing exercises. And it's like, it was one of the most difficult times of my life, because I wasn't sure if my lungs were going to collapse, that something awful was going to happen. Fortunately, the Kaiser Hospital that I went to had a support group, and it had people with bronchiectasis and other diseases, and I began learning about it. And then I didn't feel so lost and alone. At least, there's other people that have this, and maybe I can learn from them. Well, that diagnosis really impacted my life, mainly because I didn't know enough about it. And it was at that time, it was hard to find much information about bronchiectasis. I remember going into the American Lung. They gave me a definition, but that was about it. And so it was difficult to manage, because I wasn't quite sure what to do. I knew I couldn't be contacting my doctor every other day. And essentially my daily routine then was to do the nebulizer with the high content saline that would help me cough up. And I had to do that several times a day. I also did some postural drainage where I got up on this big ball and hung over it so that my lungs could drain. It totally changed my life, because now suddenly I was doing this 3 or 4 times a day. I wasn't able to walk very far. I was coughing all the time. People were wondering what was wrong with me. I wasn't even sure how to explain it. I couldn't even spell bronchiectasis at that time. I felt kind of really lost. And in little by little, I learned more, because I started reaching out and my doctor started connecting more with me. He taught me some breathing exercises, and then I went online and I found audiogenic breathing. And that really helped me, because it taught me how to breathe much deeper. But still, my whole daily routine was turned upside down. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do. I didn't want to go places because people didn't like to hear me coughing all the time. I think I disturbed everybody I was around because of my coughing. And then I was afraid I was going to go out into the world and get, more things, more infections. So I really kind of stayed to myself, I would say for several years with it. And then lo and behold, here comes COVID. And I had to stay home, and I felt like it was a death sentence, because my doctor said, you need to isolate, and you need to wear a mask, you need to stay home, because if you get bronchiectasis, you're going to end up in the hospital in ICU. And so I just really did what I had to do to stay safe through COVID. And fortunately, I did, and came out the other side without getting COVID or having COVID in my household. I joined the virtual coffee break meetups to meet others in the community and find out more about bronchiectasis.